Good morning, my friends. Guess what I'm drinking? Ha 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 ha. My lovely husband made me some gorgeous coffee. Or is it my gorgeous husband made me some lovely coffee? I don't know. Anyway, either way. So, quick weather update as per usual. The sun is shining in San Diego. We're so grateful. However, I have to say, the sky is not exactly its normal bright shade of blue. In fact, if I didn't know any better, I might think, sorry, I'm just adjusting my lighting here. I might actually think that it's an English summer. Yeah, I know. It's amazing. But the summer that we've had in San Diego is actually a bit like an English one. It's been changeable, not exactly reliable. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the weather today. We're here to talk about planners. I know some of you are going to get really excited and some of you are going to get absolutely horrified and probably find something else more interesting to do, like, I don't know, fold laundry or something. So let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was doing a bit of planner research and I was looking things up on Google because I've been a planning person since long before my brother gave me my first filofax when I was at university. I mean, this is a long, long time. Okay, not as long as filofax have been around because that's 100 years now. Roundabout this decade, it'll be 100 years. So not that long, but close. Anyway, so I've been a planner nerd for a long, long time. Not exactly a closet planner nerd, but close. So I was doing some research on Google a long time ago, and it gave me a YouTube solution. I didn't want a YouTube solution. I was looking for something to read, not watch. But I watched it. And I was absolutely charmed and delighted by the person who was presenting. She was actually showing how to use some inserts that she had printed from a website, not hers, but she appeared on this particular website. I subscribed and I've been subscribing to her and I don't know how many others in the planner community ever since. And it is reassuring to know that I'm not the only, I was going to say nutter out there, but that would be impolite to everyone else. I'm not the only person who's obsessed with planners and planning. So it's really good to know. That doesn't stop me being obsessed anyway. But before I continue, let me tell you who I am, just in case you're new here. I am Andrea Kuchin. Okay, you can find out more about what I do and who I am at phdandfollowup.com/Andrea Kuchin. PhD and Follow Up is the company that I founded, or the business I founded with my business partner back in a long time ago. And Home Biz Tips, My Home Biz Tips is our show that gives home biz tips or tips to people who have a home biz or even a biz, because so many more businesses are at home now than they were before. So if you want to email me, you can reach me at andrea@phdinfollowup.com. You can always call or text me, or not, on 858-252-1190. And if you're not already in the Facebook group, PhD and Follow Up, join it now. So PhD and Follow Up started because we found that so many businesses were losing sales because they weren't actually following up with everybody. They spend so much effort and attention trying to find new people when they know a whole pile of people. All they've got to do is get those signed up as customers. Anyway, that's how it started, and it's grown from there. Now, last week, I said something about, and this will resonate with mums or dads, maybe particularly, that now with the summer holidays coming, or the summer break, or the vacation, one is going to be pulled in more directions than usual. I mean, most working parents who are running a business from home and have kids at home know that during the school year, there are certain hours in the day when there won't be additional distractions. That's gone now for the next 3 months. Okay. All sorts of stuff's going to happen. Also, I'm presuming you're going to want to take some time off, spend some time with your kids, maybe even go on holiday or go on a vacation somewhere, even a staycation. Just switch the computer off and not do any work for a while. Lie in the sun, read some really good books. Here's a good book you should read. David Allen's Getting Things Done. I read it a long time ago. I read it periodically, and I've been looking into it again since I spoke to you last week, because last week I was talking about finding one stable datum, one thing that you can start from that can help you organize everything, right? And I have found that in the Getting Things Done system, that stable datum is what he refers to as your inbox. I sometimes call it my everything because it is everything. I know other people refer to it sometimes even as a brain dump or a mind sweep. Okay, so I've gone with inbox because it's easier. Also because I use tabs and everything is a long word and inbox is a shorter word, and that makes life easier. So I've created some new pages in the last week or so, which I'm going to share with you today. Those of you who do not know, David Allen is a productivity expert, and his focus is on helping you get stuff done easily so that you can go off and do your other stuff. This isn't about planning for your goals and your dreams. That's different. This is about all that stuff that sits in your head that has to be done, whether it's personal, impersonal, business, somebody else's business, whatever it is. These things sit in your head. When they sit in your head, they crowd it out, which means that your analytical processes and your creative processes are subdued. You want to get all that noise out of your head onto paper or digital. It's interesting, actually, because much as I love paper and I cannot do without paper for various reasons, I also love the fact that I love the flexibility and the ease of having a phone. Okay, so these are my pages. What happens is every single thing in your head goes onto a page, which I've called the inbox, right? Every single thing. Now, this is not practical when it's a piece of paper this big to carry around with you all the time. So as I might have mentioned to you before, I have a little stack of papers by my desk, by my bed, so that if I wake up in the middle of the night and I need to write something down, I can write it down. And then in the morning, that piece of paper gets brought down, and I have one of those zip up plastic envelope in my binder, and I pop it in there, along with business cards, receipts, anything else I need to deal with. So that, and the page of notes, note page I've got, along with a bigger box for bigger things that I need to deal with, like, something needs to be returned to Amazon. I can't pop that in the envelope, but I can put that in a basket. But I also write a note, right? That's the most important thing. You put everything down on a piece of paper. Now, this piece of paper says done or priority. When I've done something, I really enjoy striking through the whole thing. I get a great sense of satisfaction when I can actually draw a line along the whole thing. Other people like to put little check marks in boxes. So for me, this is a priority box. In other words, if something's extra urgent, I'll put a star or an asterisk or something in there. Then I've got my description of whatever it is. And you see here, I've got tasks, events, information, projects, ideas, etc., etc. Anything goes down here. And then here I've got, okay, so in the getting things done system, you look at an item and then you say, okay, this is a thought that came into my head. Can I do something about it or can I not do something about it? Is it actionable? If it is actionable, then I need to know whether it goes in my calendar. In other words, do I schedule it? Does it go on another list somewhere for the next action? Is it something I'm waiting for or pending? Am I waiting for someone else to do something? Or is it a project? And a project is basically anything you need to do that has more than one step. Okay, so for example, something I've got to do at the moment is I have got to pay for the license, the registration or the licensing for my vehicle, for my car. So I have to get the special code that I need to use online. Then I have to go to the website and book it. And then I have to remind myself to check later on that it's arrived. And when it's arrived, I have to remember to actually put it on the car. In America, you stick these things on your number plate. In England, you used to put them in the bottom corner of the inside of the windscreen. I don't know what you do with them in England anymore, but there's several steps. So I can't just write on my list car registration, right? First of all, that's actually not something that's actionable, but there are several steps. So that is a project, not to be confused with a huge work project like building somebody a website. That's different. That goes somewhere else. So that's what I've got it divided into. I've got this row up here divided into things I can do, which are schedule, next action, waiting for, or projects. The things I can't do might actually just get thrown away, or they might get put for someday. In other words, I don't need to deal with this now. I need to deal with it later at some point. And then the last one would be reference. In other words, I don't have to do anything with this, but I want to keep it for later on, right? And that you can have anywhere. And actually, that's where digital really works well. So I then have, excuse me, I then have my next action page. Here it is, my next action page. And again, I've got the date or the priority, things that need to get done as soon as possible. Okay. And I've actually put a due date here as well. And I use a code for a P, which means it's part of a project. Because I might suddenly think, oh, in relation to that website, have I done this, which is part of a project, but I thought of it in the middle of the night. So it still needs to go somewhere. So I'll put it on here, next action. And then I divide them up into home, family, office, contact, errand, review. Doesn't matter. You can put anything in here. So the idea is that I put my, whatever the description is, and then I put a mark here so that later on, when I'm thinking, okay, let's look at the home stuff, or let's look at the business stuff, or I'm going out, let's look at errands, I just go down the column and I find the thing that needs to be done, right? Okay, that's the second page. Now, the third page is the waiting for page, right? Waiting for. Again, I've got my date or my priority. These are pending or delegated items, right? This is something that somebody else is doing. In other words, at some point, my vehicle license registration is going to appear here because I'm waiting for it to arrive in the mail and I don't want to forget, because if it doesn't come in time, I'm going to have to follow up and find out where it is, make sure it didn't get lost in the mail, or somebody put it on a shelf when they came in the house after collecting the mail and I haven't seen it yet. And then I've got the date that it needs to be done, and then my 3 follow-ups. I'm thinking maybe 3 follow-ups. And then notes, in other words, who's dealing with this? Where does it have to be done? What status is it in? That sort of thing, okay? That's my waiting for. Then I have a projects page. So like I said, these are the things where if there's more than 2 things to do or 3 things to do, you want to write them down somewhere else so you don't lose track of them. The whole point of writing things down in this way, as Dave Allen says, is that he describes it as putting a stake in the ground so you don't lose it or forget it. The stake in the ground would be holding your tent, right? You don't need a stake in order to create or build a tent, but in order to keep it up, make sure that it stays where it's supposed to be, you have to stake it into the ground, right? So that's a bit like that. You hold your thought, but you don't have to hold it in your head so that you've got lots of space to be creative. You hold it somewhere else. Okay, so these are the projects pages. Reference, that might be useful at some point. The description of what the project is, the due date or status, whether it's done or the priority, and then what the steps actually are, right? So I've given space for 3 steps in each project, although, of course, you can make it as big or as wide as you like. Then I have my someday maybe list, and that's my last page. It says description and notes. So it says hold for review or possible future action or consideration. These are things that are not actionable right now or today or this week. So there's a date there, a due date potentially, status or priority potentially, right? There it is. These are my pages. If anybody can tell me how to print on a half letter page, please let me know, because I can only find A5, which is not the same size as US letter, or something which is 5x8, which is not the same size as US letter either. And of course, if you create something on US letter full page and then you'd want to print it half size, the proportions are off anyway. But there's no such thing as half letter size in the printing catalogue for the size of the page. If anyone has any idea how I can print this so that it actually fits, I'd be so grateful. Anyway, there they are, my getting things done pages. If anyone wants these, let me know. I've often thought I should create an Etsy shop and put my planner pages in my Etsy shop. That's something I might do one day when I retire. So what else do I have? I have my tracking sheets, 2 tracking sheets, one for home, personal stuff, and one for work. I'll show you the work one, business tracking. Here you go. It says, so along the top, you've got the day of the month or the day you started or whatever it is. There are 31, right? Then we've got the total here so that we can add up how many we did of each thing throughout the month. And then at the bottom, we've got the total so that we can see how many things that we were supposed to do we did in the day. I am not giving these a numerical value. That's different. That's statistics, which I've talked about before and I'll talk about again. This is just a habit tracker. This is to remind me of the things I need to do and make sure I get them done. So I have, for example, that I have to check all my different emails. I've got emails coming in for PhD and follow-up, for my home biz tips, Mama Millionaires, which is something I ran a long time ago, Savvy Tomato, which is something else. I have email addresses, right, for all those different domain names, and I still get emails for all of those. So I've got to remember to check the other boxes. Then I've got to make sure that I spend my follow-up hour doing my follow-up work. I've got to make sure that I've actually checked off what needs to be done in my planner on any given day. That reminds me, I'm sorry, I've just missed a huge part of the getting things done system, which is the weekly review. Now, I do this on a Friday afternoon, planning ahead for the Monday so that I don't clutter up my weekend with work. At least that's the theory. So I do this on a Friday afternoon. I go through all my pages, right? and I move things from my inbox to the other boxes. And I might put some things into my calendar that are really important that I have to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of next week. And I go through everything. And I also sit for a few minutes and think, okay, is there something else that I've forgotten that I need to remember to put down on my inbox? That's the secret of making sure things get done, because an amazingly glorious thing happens. And this is why I like paper. Excuse me. This is why I like working in paper. Because writing things down helps me remember them better. Writing things down helps me remember them better. It must be something to do with the hand-eye coordination, something like that. It helps me. Then, because I'm rereading things, it helps me remember even more, right? Now, this is not what this is designed for. It's designed to clear my mind. But I find that because I'm writing things down, I'm remembering them more easily anyway. So it's a side effect. I don't know if it's going to work that way for everybody, but that's one of the reasons I love a pen and paper. I also like the tactile of it, the touch aspect of it. I like having my leather planner out and being able to, I just get pleasure from that. I'm not one of these people that puts pretty stickers all over everything or paints all the pages with watercolor before starting or anything like that. I'm not that creative. I mean, I'd love to be, but, I've got things to do and I don't have the time. Maybe, again, that goes on my someday maybe when I've retired list. Anyway, that's the point. You review everything every week. I actually calendar in time now. My Friday afternoons, you can't book an appointment with me because I've got an hour that is scheduled just for prepping the following week, which is my getting things done. Okay, back to my list of things I'm doing. Then there's checking my Facebook group, new members, comments, that kind of thing. Checking notifications in Facebook, checking Messenger. Again, I've got several different pages in Facebook and in LinkedIn. I have to remind myself, otherwise I'll forget to check them. I'll get engrossed in a project, and then suddenly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll realize I haven't been through LinkedIn to see if anybody has, wants to connect or anyone's messaged me, right? I'll do my follow-up, specifically having a conversation, but I won't necessarily check the extra bits. I just forget. I don't know, maybe it's age, maybe it's overwhelm. The whole purpose of this is to not be overwhelmed. So all my social media stuff, writing, whether I have to write something that day, as in a blog or a post, and then there's client work, there's the YouTube stuff that I do. It's all on this list. And all I have to do is mark it off, put a cross or a check mark or a dot, or take a colored pen and color it. It doesn't matter. But I know how many of these things I want to do. I'm supposed to do every single one of these every day. I don't know how many there are, but I will then count how many I did. That way I know whether I'm doing most of the stuff I should be doing or not. Then I will look at the end. Did I do them 5 days a week or 4 days a week or 3 days a week? Because then I know if my numbers go up, if my sales go up, I can look back and say, that's because I'm actually getting stuff done 3 times a week or 4 times a week. Or I'm not surprised I didn't get any new sales last week. I only did my stuff 2 days a week. So this does help, but this is not supposed to be for statistics. But that's why it's just a check mark. It's not a number. We'll talk about numbers and things on another day. So that's my system. Now, a lot of the reference material that I want to read is a blog post that I've found somewhere, or an article that I read online, or a web page I want to check out, or something. And writing down websites, especially when it's a specific page, is a complete nightmare, which is why I have a space somewhere in cyberspace where I keep things like reference. Also, my someday maybe list is very useful over there, particularly if that also includes things that I'm going to be wanting to do online, like, booking a flight somewhere or other. It's useful to have those things there already. Now, there are two ways I've found of keeping these things. One of them is to use Google. Now, watch my Magic of Google video, which I did a few months ago, because that shows how it works. You can use Google Keep, or you can use the tasks list. The tasks list is really useful because it's dated. Also, for these things you do every day as a reminder list, if you're in Google doing your email, that's really convenient because the list is right there. And as soon as you've checked it off, it's gone and it'll come back again for the next day. That's really convenient. Also, things that have a specific date, you can put the date and they gradually work their way up to the top of the list as the days move on. Really convenient. You wouldn't want to do that with your someday maybes. You'd want to keep those in Keep, but you can also do the other stuff in Keep as well, because you can just have a list for someday maybe. And then when you go through your review, is it time to move that up? Is it a project? Is it something I can take action on this week? It doesn't mean that you'll never do it. It just means that you're not going to do it this week or next month, maybe, which is why it goes on the someday maybe list. Hope that makes sense. Read David Allen's book, or get the audio, or get one of those book summaries that you can find all over Amazon or whatever it is to figure it out. There's a lovely downloadable map that shows you how to do all these things. So is it actionable or not? If it isn't, am I going to do it at some point, or is it reference? If it is, what section does it go into? It's amazing. And don't forget your review. So I have the paper version because I love paper. I'm not saying you should work in paper. But if you want to work electronically, you can use Google. And there's also another tool that I absolutely love. And I found recently that somebody's actually created a template for getting things done, GTD. And that is ClickUp. I don't know if you have ClickUp, use ClickUp. I'm sure there are lots of other things that can be incorporated the same way. I'm sure you can do it with Asana and Trello and Monday and all those things. But I like ClickUp. And it has already a template which has your inbox and your action items. And again, that's a great place for your review, because you put the link there of the web page you want to check out, and then you just click on it when you're ready to read it or whatever it is. So those are my suggestions. It'll help the overwhelm. It'll make summer much more pleasant, and you'll be able to enjoy it more. And you can actually take time off when you do this, because when you know that everything's written down, ready, laid out for you when you get back to your desk, it makes life so much easier. And when I travel for a long time, and I don't want to be working all day long. I'll spend an hour or two maybe, every couple of days working, but I want to not be working. And this system really, really helps. Okay, that's it. That's my talk for today. I am so grateful that you joined me here. I look forward to seeing you next week. I don't know what I'm talking about next week. I do know that I'm teaching tomorrow at the Daily Business Workout. Daily Business Workout. Watch this space, because I'll be posting more information about that later on. Okay, my friends, thank you so much. I'm going to end the broadcast. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.